Usually with faulty hardware, I'll try some quick tricks to try and get it to work. If it doesn't work after that, I usually put it in either a bin, which I'll donate to someone, or I'll just simply chuck it out. However, in this case, I've noticed that the market recently, people are paying good money for faulty products. And you may be stopping there and thinking like,
Brian, you're selling people faulty PC parts? That's just straight wrong.
And there's nothing wrong about it if you're being transparent and putting in the title faulty, you're putting in the listing, look, this part, simply I can't get it to work and I don't know exactly what is wrong with it. And you can even make yourself some decent money to people who want to try and repair it, or people who think that there's something simple to fix and they think they can fix it, especially if you've taken good photos and there's no visible hardware damage on the parts themselves. But let's go over some of the prices that people are paying for faulty parts right now, and how during this time, especially if you want to buy another PC or save up for something else, you can actually make some decent money on this stuff and put it towards your next purchase.
We've got here the Z590 motherboard. That's right, this is the Z590 Phantom Gaming ITX with Thunderbolt 4, USB 3.2 Gen 2 front out, double shot Pro combining your NIC and your 6E Wi-Fi together for double the speeds, and the Hyper M.2 Gen 4x4. If you're looking for the best mini ITX motherboard that has it all, then I'll put some links in the description below.
So the first component that we're going to talk about is easily the graphics card. Right now, people want to buy graphics cards, especially cryptocurrency miners, and so they're willing to pay even for faulty cards in the attempt that they can get them working and then put them on a crypto mining bench. It's actually getting quite bizarre to the point where one of my friends here on the Gold Coast sold a GTX 1070, which was faulty, for nearly 300 Aussie dollars. And that shocked me because over a year ago, you could pick up a GTX 1070 that was in good condition and working for $300. And in fact, in a parts hunt that I did over a month ago, I got a GTX 1070 that was working for $350. So there's definitely this rush that's coming through the market where people really want to get a graphics card, and they want it so bad to the point where they'll even pick up faulty cards in desperation of trying to get them to work, in that they can get better perceived value if they so fix those graphics cards up. However, on the flip side, if you've ever tried selling products, even if it's for spare parts, say for instance, someone wants to get the fans off this graphics card, or they want the nice IO shield that's not rusted, and perhaps their one is a bit rusted, but their card still works, they'll generally give you a really low rate for that card anyhow. So in the past, when I've tried selling some graphics cards that I had come through in a big bundle, and I tried selling off some faulty ones, especially locally, people just weren't interested in those cards, period. And then if you try selling on eBay, it's not worth the time you've got to deal with for fees and messages and posting things off, and you don't get any money for it. So basically, the market right now for selling your faulty PC parts transparently looks like it's extremely good. And it's actually funny in ways. For me personally, this does correlate with other markets out there. For instance, I've noticed me and Dadman, we've gone around looking at some of these auctions for homes just to gauge the real estate demand where I am locally. And we were shocked because there'd be some houses where we'd be at these auctions and we're thinking like, this place won't go for, say for instance, 450,000. This wouldn't even go for 450,000. And then there's these people on the phone, they're bidding, and they're bidding all the way up to $600,000 for this home that's absolutely messed up, and there's so much risk involved. And that's coming from my dad, who is a builder, and he said, you can't make any money even if you're in the flipping game on this real estate purchase, because it's just that bad and deteriorated, and the risks involved are simply not worth it. So it looks like not only in PC parts at the moment, there's also a lot of other markets where people are just going crazy and paying ridiculously high prices for what I would consider garbage. Though getting back to the PC parts, the graphics card would easily be the most popular, but if you've got things like CPUs right here on the desk, we've got some i7s that I've actually saved over the years and they haven't booted. So I've got an i7 6700, got a 4770K and also a 4770, and these parts just simply give out a black screen when I put them in the motherboard. And so if you've got a heap of CPUs that don't work, sometimes people like to buy these CPUs because perhaps they would work if they were a particular type of i7. I have seen this once in the past. I think it was with a Dell machine where the i7 would only work with that motherboard, And I've never seen anything like it, to the point where that i7 perhaps had a different microcode and it was programmed towards that motherboard. And so perhaps people are like, well, I know the code on that CPU and I can get it to work, so they can pick up a bargain. And in your case, you're never going to come into that scenario, so you can sell it off and make some decent coin. But on this case, we've got here a motherboard that boots up, but it's a little bit faulty. And I've tried everything I can to get this motherboard working properly 100%. But there's, I think, a faulty part on board. So if someone's looking for, say, a replacement heatsink on this, and then they can get that, and you can turn that, what you would otherwise perhaps throw out in the garbage, you can turn that into something, especially in this market right now. Anyway, guys, with that aside, I think the market is great right now for selling off some faulty PC parts and just being transparent about it. Of course, don't hose anyone down. Don't try and scam people down. I mean, I've bought parts in the past where people say the part works. You get it home and it's completely bricked. And in fact, I'd say in the last year, the amount of hosings that I've got is at an all-time high, where I've been hosed on 3 separate occasions, as opposed to before that, where I've only been hosed like once in 3.5 years. So be careful of, especially if you're buying something off the used market right now, that people will sell faulty hardware and they'll try and sell it under the guise that it is working. But please don't do that if you are selling faulty hardware. Just be honest about it. And in terms of what you're pricing it at, you can just leave it up on free auction and let people do the bidding. But I think in terms of the market itself, it is a great time for you if you've got a lot of stuff that's just sitting around and you know it hasn't worked in the past, then you can still get some decent money for it and put that towards something, or just minimalist down as well in the process. And especially in terms of like what I'm doing now, I'm trying to clean out my studio a little bit. But in terms of these parts right here, I'll probably just put them back in the bin and then donate them to someone who wants to fiddle around with hardware and get some usage out of it. Anyhow, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit that like button for us, and also let us know in the comment section below, do you have any faulty PC parts of your own, and what do you usually do with those parts? Or have you sold anything like a faulty PC part on eBay recently, like the story of the GTX 1070 that my friend sold here locally for nearly $300. All our eyes were really opened on that one. But love reading your thoughts and opinions, as always, just like this question of the day here, which comes from Mike Lawton, and they ask, do you sell the builds you make? I'd love a video of you selling some of the stuff. So yes and no, I do sell pretty much all the used builds that I do here on the channel. I do reflip them, and yes, I do make some profit on that, and so I'll use the profits and the original cost to put into the next used build. Or of course, outside of the channel, I'll buy myself some new clothes and things that I like. But in terms of the new builds that come through here, a lot of the times I have to send those builds back. Say for instance, it's from Asus or Gigabyte, they'll send in their builds and I'll do these new builds and I'll have to send those parts back. But if I'm building a new build from parts that I've bought myself, then anything that I buy myself, I usually reflip that to free up space in the studio and also go towards the next project. Hope that answers that question. And if you've stayed this far and you want to see the Tech Yes content the moment it drops, be sure to hit that sub button, ring that bell, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out for now. Bye.